Welcome to your community. This is your hometown. This is Walton Entertainment. This is where you can hear from the community and those making a difference. We explore topics, local festivals, arts and entertainment, and local news. For this program and much more, visit us online at yourlocalstream.com. That's yourlocalstream.com.
Good morning, I'm Tisha McCrae with the Walton Youth Project, and we're excited to be out here this morning at the Wayne Street Alley. We're at the corner of Wayne and Spring Street in downtown Monroe, and we're just here to tell you about a project that our Teen Advocacy Board has been working on. We're fortunate enough that a year or so ago the city put in a lot of new concrete in this alley and improved the infrastructure so much, and so now our teen board wants to count on you to donate some heirloom plants, anything that's a perennial plant or even seeds, so that we can come out here and put some gardens in. We're going to have different organizations that'll sponsor it every month. For example, the Bridge of Georgia is going to be beautifying this area right here for the month of April for Autism Awareness Month. And then in May, we've got Walton County Student Services who will be beautifying an area for their current initiatives. So we just love for people in the public to donate plants to us. We have 3D printers that we're going to be using as a STEM outreach in local after-school programs to print tags to identify you as a donor of a plant. And if you'd like to have more information about it, you can call us at 770-207-3174, or you can email us at walton.youthproject@icloud.com. Just wanted to show you a little bit more of this Wayne Street, Spring Street area that we're improving. There have already been some plants set out here, and so we will be adding to that along this area where the concrete is. We'll also be moving down this way towards the dumpster. Our art committee, which is headed up by Julia Tanase from George Walton Academy and Zymeria Gaither from Monroe Area High School, will be designing a new facade for this dumpster and painting it. We received a seed grant from Resilient Northeast Georgia for that, so we'll be making a resiliency dumpster here. And then again, coming on around the corner to do some other changes. We also received some funding from Peach State Federal Credit Union, and we'll be using that for the area along here that goes out to Spring Street.
Hey, I'm Kason Howard. I'm the Walton County 4-H agent, and I started in this role on February 1st. We just wanted to announce a few things that are coming up that are really exciting in Walton County 4-H. First of all, it is the sweetest time of the year because we are now selling our Vidalia onions to raise money for campers to go to summer camp. And speaking of summer camp, we have Cloverleaf Camp, Junior Camp, and Senior Camp all ready for campers to sign up. They're going to be going to different parts of the state. They're going to have a week full of fun and making really good memories. So if you want to purchase your Vidalia onions to help send campers to camp, see a Walton County 4-H'er, visit our website to buy them online, or come visit us in the extension office and you can buy them there. Another thing coming up is our teen leader training. So any prospective 4-H'er in 7th through 12th grades can take part in that. That's going to be on April 26th and 27th, so they can learn how to take on a leadership role in 4-H and lead groups of their peers that may be a little bit younger than them. Finally, we wanted to shout out some of our Cloverleaf DPA participants. DPA is a contest where students have to prepare a 3 to 6 minute speech and some visual aids about a topic that they are passionate about. We had over 35 kids from Walton County go with us to Rock Eagle to participate in Cloverleaf DPA, and almost all of them had a really high place, and we're really proud of those kids for coming out on a Saturday to learn. So if you have any other questions about Walton County 4-H or any of our events coming up, just give us a call at the extension office. Thank you.
Hi everybody, my name is Jay Connor. I'm the Family Consumer Sciences agent here in Walton County. I'd really like to invite everybody to come out to our upcoming homeowner radon education class. It's going to be hosted here at the Walton County Extension Office, March the 19th at 5:30. Anyone who comes will be receiving a free radon test in addition to the education you'll be receiving on the dangers radon can cause to you, your family, and your pets. If you have any questions, please feel free to reach out via email or by calling us here at the office. We'll be happy to help you out with all those questions. If you can't make it to our class, radon test kits are currently available at a special price of only $10. So please come by if you have any questions. We'll be more than happy to help out.
Hello, I'm Kenny Sargent with Keep Walton Beautiful and the Walton County Recycling Center. I want to thank everyone for tuning in. We're heading into the spring wide open here. Our scale and the recycling center itself has never been busier. And with spring coming in, it's going to get even busier. We've got a lot of events coming up. We've got schools that are planning field trips out to the recycling center. Schools that are having us come in to do, educational programs at the schools. So it's a really busy time of the year for us. It's one of our favorite times. So we're looking forward to that. Just a reminder, because it is that time of year and we're turning around cars left and right. If you starting to have grass clippings, people are cutting back bushes and stuff. Those items can't come here. They need to go to an inert landfill. I know I say this all the time, but we continue to have cars across the scale that are bringing in those items. Give us a call. We'll direct you to the nearest one to you, but we can't accept those items here. And looking forward, some of the events we have coming up, the first one we have is starting Saturday, April 20th. We'll be doing our tire amnesty event here at the recycling center. We will do that through Friday, April the 26th. There is no charge on tires. If you have any old tires laying around the house, that's the perfect time to bring those in. Again, there's no charge. We're going to be reimbursed from the state on those tires. So it gives us a week to collect all the tires we can, because tires are one of those items that we don't want on the sides of our roads. We certainly don't want them making their way to any of our waterways in Walton County, and that happens quite often. So again, it's the perfect time to bring tires. The one thing to remember is the tires have to be off the rim. We cannot accept tires on the rim. But other than that, that's pretty much the only stipulation with the tires at this time. We don't plan on putting a limit on the tires. We do want that just to be residential tires only. We're not going to take tires from tire companies or tire stores. So that is for residential. We're not putting a limit on the tires at this time. If we get into this and we find out we do need to put some limits on it, we may, but we have no plans to do that at this time. Again, that starts Saturday, April 20th and will run through Friday, April 26th. Give us a call here if you have any questions about the Tire Amnesty event, 770-267-1421. We hope to have a really good turnout and collect as many tires as possible, because they are a problem all across the state and the country, really. So we're thankful for the state for having the funds to allow us to do this, and we're looking forward to it. Moving on from that, the very next week, the next Saturday, April 27th, we'll be doing a document destruction event at the City Hall in Loganville. We're partnering with the Loganville Lions Club, and we'll be over at City Hall from 10 a.m. to noon on Saturday, April 27th, to bring any old unwanted documents that you want to make sure are shredded, any sensitive information you have that you don't want to just recycle or throw away, you want to make sure is shredded. It's the perfect opportunity to do that. There's even a camera right there on the side of the truck. If you want to watch your documents be shredded, you can do it at that event. Again, give us a call if you have any questions about the event. We'd be happy to answer those. And we've also started looking, we're going to try to get in a document destruction here at the recycling center, May, possibly June. But we're just getting started on that, and we're going to need to pick a date and also find out when the company's available to send the shredding truck. But we're working on that to get that out here at the recycling center. And like I said, a fun time. We've got a lot going on here. And as I always do, if you don't know a lot about us, don't know what we do here, want to start recycling, doing your part, come out and see us. You don't just have to call. You can walk right in the door, you can ask for me. I'd be happy to walk you around, show you what we're doing here, answer any questions, and get you started recycling. So again, give us a call, 770-267-1421, or just come out and see us. We'd be happy to show you around. And until next time, take care.
Hey, thanks a lot everybody for tuning in. In a minute, we're going to show you a lot of the dogs that are available here at the Walton County Animal Control Shelter. You know, we're on South Madison Avenue, right behind the jail. You can come down and have a look through every afternoon from 1 to 4:30. You can see the dogs and the cats, or you can go online and look at waltonpets.net. We do post a lot of the animals there, almost all the animals there, so you can do some window shopping if you go to waltonpets.net. You know, it's springtime already, hard to believe, but we'll probably, just like every year, start to see a lot of the kittens come in, a lot of the puppies come in. So maybe you're looking to add a kitten or a puppy into your household. Don't forget about your local animal control shelter. It's Walton County Animal Control, 1411 South Madison Avenue in Monroe, or waltonpets.net.
This is Rocky. He's 9 months old. He's a German Shepherd, a male, not neutered. He's extremely friendly once he gets to know you. He's a little shy at first, but you can see once he gets to know you, he loves you.
This is Cora. She is a 3-year-old German Shepherd. She's already spayed and microchipped and up to date on all her shots. And she is an owner surrender, so she is available for adoption today.
This is Lady. She's 5 years old. She is a pit bull, and she's looking for an energetic family.
This is Tigger. He's 2 years old. He wants a loving family.
This is Daisy. She's about a 9-year-old pit mix. She is spayed and she is microchipped.
This is Diamond. She is a 3-year-old lab mix. She is microchipped and possibly spayed. She's had all of her vaccines, and she's very sweet and just looking for a...
This is Forrest. He's a hound mix. He's 3 or 4 years old. He's super sweet, not neutered. He just needs him a good home.
This is Ace. He is an 11-month-old lab mix. He's already neutered, microchipped, everything like that. And he is a very energetic boy, so he needs a very energetic family. Oh, and he's good with dogs too.
This is Mia. She is 2 years old, German Shepherd. She is housebroken and ready for adoption. Come on. Come on. Yes.
Hi, I'm Jody Johnson. I'm here with another recreation report. I just held up the flyer for our, by popular demand, we're having another craft fair. It's going to be this spring on March 23rd, 2024. And this one, the first one was in Social Circle. We had about 20 to 25 vendors, and we've already had 25 sign up. This one's going to be in Loganville at 105 Generation Boulevard. That's kind of on the corner of Twin Lakes Road and Highway 81 in Loganville at our Meridian Community Center. So if you're interested in being a vendor, you can obviously go to our website or go to one of our community centers and they can sign you up. Or we hope that you'll come. And again, it's on March 23rd. Come and look at all the local vendors that are selling all of their crafts and supplies that they have. Our baseball and softball and soccer programs are underway. On March 16th is what we call our opening day. And then most of the Monroe, Belker, and Criswell will start on the 18th, that following Monday. So good luck to all our teams. We're really hoping this rain holds off and lets us start our spring sports. Want to let you know about the pickleball that's been going on out at Criswell Park. I know we've had some video of that space as well. So we've got the 4 pickleball courts right in front of the Ag Center at Criswell Park, and then we're under construction on 4 more pickleball courts that'll be in the back. And those will be available. It's kind of a dual building. They'll be available in the mornings for folks to come out and play. And then in the evenings, we're going to let the 4-H club use it for a lot of their shooting sports like BB, rifle team, and archery. So it's a great way to utilize the space for multiple groups to go in and utilize. So we'll have some tournaments out there eventually. We're still looking at expanding the pickleball courts out at Ayers Park. Right now we currently have 4 courts, and we're looking at putting at least 8 more out there so we can have some larger events. Also at Ayers Park, we have our Frisbee golf course. If you haven't played Frisbee golf, my understanding it's one of the nicest courses in the state, and there's a lot of people that go out there and play. If you go into the parking lot, if you turn to the right and go to the end, there'll be directions to get you through that course. So it's very nice if you like Frisbee golf. There's a lot of other things going on with the Parks and Rec. Our basketball teams have finally finished, and we had 2 teams advance to the state tournament. Fortunately, they weren't able to pull off the state championship, but we're very proud of our 9 and 10 boys out of Monroe and 9 and 10 girls out of Monroe as well. So congratulations to them for making it to the state tournament, and we look forward to what you'll do next year. So with all this rain that we've been having, it's great to have these nice community centers that you can come into and exercise, and the climate control very dry. So if this rain pattern continues, it'd be a great time to come out and check out our community centers where you can always walk and exercise, because that is very important to keep your health up. So hope to see you soon at one of our ballparks. Come by. We play mostly Monday, Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Saturdays at most of the parks, whether it's Belker Park in Monroe or Criswell Park in Monroe as well, or South Walton or West Walton Park. We've always got an activity going on. We'd love to have you out at the park. See a lot of people out there, see some kids and cheer them on. We'd like to have some positive reaction from everyone. So hope to see you. We have a lot of people that come to these parks on a daily basis. So until next time, thank you very much.
Hello, welcome to Monroe Walton Center for the Arts. We have our fabulous elementary school student art show in the gallery right now. The last day is March 14th, and we will have a reception that evening, Thursday, March 14th from 6 to 7:30 to honor the artists that are in the show. I think we've got at least around 8 of our public and private elementary schools represented in this show. So if you haven't seen it, please do come see it. And you're also, of course, invited to the reception on the 14th from 6 to 7:30. We'll have cookies and punch. It's just a really nice time to honor these artists. Just such a fabulous show. So do come see it. The next show coming up after this one is the high school show. And then we'll end up our student shows in May with the middle school show. I wanted to point out a couple kind of new things we have going on. We have 2 paint parties for adults only on Friday nights and starting this month. So we'll have a paint party with Jennifer. Her paint party will be more of the typical paint along where everybody will paint the same painting. The painting in March is a really cute bunny, kind of a folk art, really cute bunny. And then our other paint party is with Donna. Our Donna Kaufman is back, our education chair. You know, she's been out sick for quite some time, battling cancer. So she is finally back. We're so happy to have her back. She is kind of transitioning from doing the typical paint along that now Jennifer is doing to really what Donna loves to do, loves to share, and is so good at. And her art is more creative, expressive, modern, free-flowing. So you'll have a basic template and idea. The one for March is a really pretty kind of graphical leaf plants kind of thing. But she's going to introduce different tools, different techniques, different media. This one is a mixture of acrylic paint, ink, and some various papers and things to create your own really unique work of art. So anyway, every month we'll have 2 different paint-alongs for adults only. Adult beverages may or may not be served at these. If you would like a glass of wine, we typically have a little bit on hand. But it's mostly painting. It's not really a big drinking thing by any means. It's just ladies getting together and having fun and painting. So Jennifer's will be typically the 4th Friday. Donna's will typically be the 3rd Friday, but sometimes they may flip. But if you go to our website, MonroeWaltonArts.org, you'll see exactly who is teaching and what they're teaching and how to register, and you'll see an example of the paintings and everything. So please go to our website, MonroeWaltonArts.org, and take a look at those 2 new classes that we're offering. The other thing that's coming up soon is art camp. We will have 5 weeks of art camp in June and July. We're already getting questions about that, and we've got the information on our website, so if you'll go there. I won't go into it here because it's just too much, but if you'll go there to our website, you'll see in our list summer art camp. You can see what's being offered and what the weeks are, so you can save them on your calendar. We'll open up registration for that in early April. So the registration's not up yet, but it will be up soon. And the other thing that we have going on, of course, coming up is our big 2-day extravaganza in April. It's just right around the corner. I can't believe it. So on April 26th, which is a Friday evening, we'll have a Toast to the Arts. It's our first ever gala type event. I hesitate to call it a gala because that sounds real fancy. But that will be on the 26th, and then on the 27th, we'll have our garden tour. So again, go to our website, take a look. We hope you'll join us. We're excited, and come see the show, and we hope to see you soon.
Well, good afternoon. Hello, everybody. My name is Sadie Krozek, and I work with the City of Monroe, but more importantly, I'm a member of Grace Monroe, who's the church that's restored this, or is in the process of restoring this school campus, including Denton Hall. So we are thrilled to host this. We did one last Sunday to kick off our Bicentennial Week celebration. Hopefully you had a chance to enjoy some of the other festivities throughout the week. And this wraps it up. So this is the bookend, our final Then and Now presentation. And so I'm going to turn it over to Steve Brown, the historian from the Monroe Museum. And the Monroe Museum is open. It's not open just for Bicentennial. It's open throughout the week, so you can go by there and see much more of Monroe's history. The address is 227 South Broad Street. It's our visitor center and museum, so please visit that. And thank you so much for being here. And I'm going to turn it over because this is what we all came to hear. So take it away, Steve. Thank you.
Good afternoon, and thank you for being here. This is the bicentennial edition of Monroe Then and Now. I've done these before, and I think some of you have attended some of those. This one's being presented, as Sadie said, by the Monroe Museum and me. and it's being hosted by Grace Monroe. And look at this facility. How many of you played basketball in here? All right. Well, it was, we're going to talk about the gym later on, but suffice it to say, if you'd seen this building 10 years ago, you'd have never dreamed it would look like this. And just a word or two about the Monroe Museum. As Sadie said, we're located at 2227 South Broad Street, and we are open Tuesday through Friday 10 to 4 and Saturday 10 to 2. We've been closed for over a year and a half because of the virus, the pandemic or whatever, and we are back open and glad to be. If you haven't been in since we reopened, you've got a lot to see that you haven't seen before. We have 3 new galleries, we've got 3 new exhibits, and some of our other exhibits have been expanded and improved. So please drop by and take a look. And while I'm on that, I want to say one thing that I run into all the time. People, we have, as I can count it, 3 groups in town that have to do with history, and people get all 3 of them confused with one another. We have the Monroe Museum, and we have the Walton County the Historical Society of Walton County, which is headquartered in the Davis Edwards House on North Broad Street, and is actually more Walton County than Monroe. And we have the Historical Preservation Commission, which is a part of the city government, and those are the people that you talk to if you own property in the historic district and you want to do something to it. They tell you whether you can or cannot. So maybe you can keep those 3 separate in your mind. If you can't, we're not going to worry about it. So, but people kind of bleed one name into another, and we'll all live through it. I do want to mention our Facebook page, which was actually our connection with the public during our pandemic episode. And our Facebook page is just Monroe Museum. We have over 7,000 followers. We are the largest Facebook presence of any organization our size in the state. And what I'm going to say today, when I finish, you're going to say, well, why didn't he talk about such and such or so-and-so? Or why did he talk about such and so? And I can tell you that I'm not going to cover everything we could cover, or we'd be here several days. I could talk 3 hours on Monroe history without a problem at all. Don't get scared. We're not going to do that. but everything I talk about and everything you think I should talk about and I don't is on our Facebook page. We've got hundreds of posts on there, videos, photographs, stories, everything else. And if there's anything that you'd like to learn about that I don't mention today, you can go there and find it. If you can't, email me and I'll try to help you out or make something up. All right, so without further ado, let's talk about Monroe history. And that starts with the Creek Indians who owned this property or inhabited this property up until 1802, when a treaty was signed in Milledgeville that ceded this land to the United States. In the center of this county was a little place called Spring Place, and it really had no organization to it. It was just where people had settled, and they had settled there because there was good land, the climate was moderate, and there was ample water. And a lot of that came from my city spring, which, as you can see, still exists down close to Children's Park behind the library. But there were a lot of other springs too. There wasn't just that one spring. But in 1818, Walton County was chartered, and of course, being a county, they needed a county seat. In 1820, there was a land lottery, and the land lottery was to populate the county. The county was divided. Let me get my marker. The county was divided into 4 districts. I think this is 1 right here, 2, 3, and 4. And each of those districts was divided into land lots. It was 250 acres each. It was a gentleman named Elijah Betts who did not participate. The people who participated in that lottery were, for the most part, revolutionary soldiers, widows and children, or orphans of revolutionary soldiers. Elijah Betts did not participate in the lottery, but he did buy lot number 65 in District 3 from a gentleman who won it in the lottery. He paid him $400 for it. And lot 65 is really downtown Monroe. As soon as he bought that property, or very soon after that, he sold 50 of those 250 acres to the town for $1. And he suggested, or we think he is the one that suggested, that the name be changed to Monroe, James Monroe being the president at that time, our 5th president, and I'm told the last founding father to be president of the United States. And in the interim, somewhere there, this town was known as Walton Courthouse for a short period of time. I think the post office actually carried that name. But eventually we became Monroe. And that was verified or whatever by the state legislature on November the 30th, 1821, which was 200 years back from last Tuesday when we had the celebration. So we were the county seat, and as I mentioned, had been known. I think the thing about Walton Courthouse was that there was some difficulty about where the county seat was going to be, and the first court had been held down the road at Cowpens, or Panell as it's called, and so Monroe was kind of making a play to be county seat. They thought if they called themselves Walton Courthouse, that would help, and maybe it did, I don't know. Mr. Elijah Betts lived right here on the corner of Washington Street and Broad Street. At that time, Washington Street, actually going downhill here, was called South Crop Street. Washington Street's had several names, as a matter of fact. And he lived there a while after that, and then he lost his mind and moved to Gwinnett County. And in 1836, he sold that property to Nehemiah Johnson, who the kids in town called Yankee Johnson, because he had come to town from Rhode Island in the 1820s. When he came to town, he was a house painter, or he painted houses to make a living, and when he bought that property from Elijah Betts, it was a house and a store, and so he became a merchant, and actually accrued a fairly large estate. By the 1841, he had been elected judge, and then in the 1860s, he got very ill and he died in 1863 at the height of the Civil War. The laws of the Confederacy would not let his money leave the South, and all of his relatives were in Rhode Island. So in his will, he gave part of his fortune to the education of underprivileged children in Walton County. And so there was a school built that carried his name, and it was originally called Johnson Academy, and then vernacular changed it to Johnson Institute. Anybody in here go to Johnson Institute? There we go. Yeah. That school was a part of our Monroe and Walton County school system for a long time, starting shortly after the Civil War and going at least into the 1960s, maybe the 70s, I'm not sure, about when they stopped using the school. It was located in a lot of different locations. One of the first was this area where eventually Governor McDaniel would build his house. And actually what happened was he bought that property, or gave the city I think $350 for that property, and 2 acres of land down the hill, and I'm not sure if they moved the school or built another school, but it was located close to that spring that we just looked at a while ago, and today would be behind Tabernacle African Baptist Church down there. This is the Johnson Institute that I think most of you that raised your hand went to school. And the one that we're most familiar with, this building was built in 1927, but there were several others before this. The present company, notwithstanding, some of the other notable graduates of Johnson Institute was Governor Clifford Walker, graduated there in about 1893, and Mary Cresswell graduated there in 1900. She went to the school that you see right there. And when actually the year she graduated, last day of school, that school building burned to the ground. And that's the one that was located by the spring behind Tabernacle Baptist Church down there. So who is Mary Cresswell? How many people know who Mary Cresswell is? Been paying attention. Okay. All right. Mary Cresswell was the first female to graduate from the University of Georgia. So, and the University of Georgia actually has her Johnson Institute diploma. And she also became the first female dean. She was dean of the School of Home Economics there, and Cresswell Residence Hall bears her name. All right, so let's go back to the corner of Broad Street in Washington. This house, which was the Hammond House, was built on that corner sometime before 1885, and it was the only brick residence in downtown Monroe for a long time. It stayed there until 1940, when it was replaced by the Troy Theater. And we'll talk a little more about that in a while, but here's some people in the Troy Theater. This is I think Christmas Eve 1947, and they're probably all waiting to see some appearance by a cowboy or two cowboy movies and a cartoon and a cereal. Okay, one more time back to Washington Street, and let's talk about this circus wagon right here, bandwagon actually. Colonel Giles had a circus, and he came to Monroe and went bankrupt while he was here. And everything he had was sold on the courthouse steps, and that included Empress the elephant that a man in Chicago bought, and they paid a gentleman to walk the elephant to Atlanta to put him on a train. But Calvin Nowell, who was a upright citizen of Monroe, bought this bandwagon so that our brass band would have a bandwagon. And this is Monroe's brass band. We actually know the names of every one of these guys in this band. Well, I'll just mention one, and that's Judge Benjamin Edwards, who wore a top hat and played, I guess that's a tuba. But he's of the Edwards family. He was the son of John Briar Edwards. They were both clerks of the Superior Court, and that is the Edwards family of Davis Edwards, where the Davis Edwards house gets its name. They lived in that house. All right, let's talk about the courthouse. In 1821, Mr. Benjamin Hammock was paid $50 to build a log courthouse that was 2 stories high. And this is not it. But we didn't have a picture of that courthouse, but I had to have something put up here while I was talking about it. And who knows, it might have looked like that. And the other thing is, we don't actually know where this courthouse was. It could possibly have been on Courthouse Square in the middle of town, but this is pretty soon after the town was founded, so it might have been somewhere else. We're not positive. We do know that 2 years later, in 1883, it was replaced by a brick courthouse that was in the center of town, Courthouse Square, and that one stayed there until 1846, when it was replaced by a second brick courthouse. Those two courthouses were a lot closer to Broad Street than the historic courthouse that's up there now. Actually, the courthouse that's there now, this one, built in 1883, was built behind that second courthouse. The second courthouse was still in use, the second brick courthouse, when this courthouse was built. This courthouse was designed by Bruce and Morgan, which was an architectural firm from Atlanta, and they built courthouses all over the Southeast and other municipal buildings. And government buildings also. All right, let's talk a little about what Monroe was like in the period of time before the Civil War. And you need to think this was the frontier. You know, you walk down the street, you might run into Wyatt Earp or Matt Dillon or something. It was kind of like that. You know, it was just a frontier town, and there was a good bit of lawlessness. How many of you have been on my murder and mayhem tour? Okay, well, never mind. It was a lot of murder and mayhem. But that also meant that we had a lot of lawyers. Now, that may be good, don't know. And so I'm going to mention a few of those. And I say this because these people lived and worked in our town. And the ones I'm going to tell you about were pretty special folks. They did a lot. And the first one I would mention is Judge Charles Davis. And that's where the Davis name of the Davis Edwards house comes. He's really the first person we know that lived in that house. Not that he built it. I think he bought it while it was being built. But Davis Edwards comes from Davis and the Edwards family I mentioned a while ago. He was like Nehemiah Johnson we mentioned a while ago, from Rhode Island, but Judge Davis came down here on a mule from Vermont. These people probably trying to get away from the snow or something, I don't know, and had everything he owned in saddlebags. He built or had a law office on Broad Street where he practiced law, and by 1826 he had been elected to the Georgia legislature, and by 1846 he actually had made enough money that he was loaning the county money to help pay for the courthouse. Judge Davis, wait a minute, back up. Judge Davis did not only live in the Davis Edwards house, he died in the Davis Edwards house. And bless his soul, we don't know where he is now. He was buried somewhere on that property. He had 37 acres with the Davis Edwards house, and eventually, of course, that was subdivided and split up. And his tombstone was moved to Rest Haven Cemetery, but not him. So, Judge Davis and his sister-in-law are both out there somewhere. So, you know, if you on North Broad Street and somebody wanders by, maybe him. But all right, so Junius Hillier. Junius Hillier was a judge for the Western Circuit. He was a United States congressman. He was a solicitor of the U.S. Treasury. And he was father of George Hillier. George Hillier was in the Georgia legislature, and during the Civil War he was captain of the Hillier Rifles, which was a local unit that fought in the Civil War. And after the war in 1885, George was elected mayor of Atlanta. Walter Terry Colquitt was a public speaker. He was a judge, he was a lawyer, and he was a Methodist minister. And there's a history of the Methodist Church in Georgia that I quote that said that Colquitt was able to make a stump speech, try a court case, plead another case at the bar, christen a child, preach a sermon, and marry a couple all before dinner. In addition to that, he was father of Governor Alfred Colquitt. And Governor Alfred Colquitt, who also practiced law here, was in the Georgia legislature. He was a United States representative. He served as governor of Georgia. He was a Monroe native son. Actually, he was born where Scoop's ice cream parlor is, with an ice cream spoon in his mouth. Right there. Now, was he born in that building? No. But a long time, he was born in 1824, and he may have been born in this house, but we don't really know that. We know, this is Stephen Felker, and we know Stephen Felker moved into this house in 1841. We don't know if the house existed before he moved there. We call it the oldest house in Monroe, and it may very well be. If it's not the oldest, it's close to it. But we don't really know that Governor Colquitt was born in that house. This photograph was made in 1885, and that is Stephen Felker sitting on the front porch there. This was about 2 or 3 years before he passed away. And they said Stephen Felker was an astute businessman, and they said that when he was sitting on that porch, that everything he could see, he owned it. And that's probably not far from the truth. Now, that house still exists, and today it looks like this. It has been lowered and moved around on Highland Avenue. And some of you may have eaten at Melinda's Restaurant, which that house used to be in the 1980s, not the 1880s, and wondered why they named it Melinda. Well, that's Melinda right there. She was Stephen's wife. Another house that I find very interesting is this one, which, if we get real technical, this is not in Monroe city limits, but it's close. Governor Colquitt also lived in this house sometime during his childhood. In addition to that, Governor Howell Cobb lived in this house during his childhood. And we mentioned Junius Hilliard. He lived here with his son, George Hilliard, who was mayor of Atlanta. So you got 2 governors and a mayor of Atlanta that lived in this house. This may very well be the most historic structure in Walton County. And people ask me all the time about ghost stories, hauntings, and things like that. I don't know for sure any of those, but you know, this house right here might be a good place to start if you were looking for ghosts. All right, the other governors, we are known as the cradle of governors. Wilson Lumpkin lived here and was a charter member of the First Baptist Church when it started, when it opened in 1829. He was a state legislature and then became governor in 1831 to 35, and he was a United States congressman. He was also commissioner of the Cherokee Nation. And he was one of the creators of the Western and Atlantic Railroad and a trustee of the University of Georgia. And he had children. This is his daughter Martha and her 2 brothers. Martha was born right down here. This is Broad Street. This is Washington Street going across right here. And we're looking south. Martha was born on South Broad Street. And so there was this town called Terminus. It was called Terminus because it was at the end of the Western and Atlantic Railroad. And so that town wanted to honor Governor Lumpkin because he had helped found that railroad. And the railroad was really their reason for existence. And so they named the town Marthasville after his daughter. So there you go. Martha was born in Monroe. Now later on, they changed the name to Atlanta. And shortly thereafter, Martha claimed that her middle name was Atlanta, but it was not. And I have read that the name Atlanta actually comes from the fact that you know, the Western and Atlantic Railroad ended there, and Atlanta is the female form, I guess, in Latin form of Atlantic. So you can believe that or not. Howell Cobb, we already mentioned, lived here as a child. He was Speaker of the United States House of Representatives. He was governor of Georgia from 1851 to 1853. He was Secretary of the U.S. Treasury. And he was president of the Provisional Congress of the Confederacy and a brigadier general during the Civil War. James Boynton is kind of a tenuous fellow in this respect. He was only governor from March to May in 1863. Alexander Stephens had been governor, and he died in office, and Boynton took his place and immediately called for an election to elect a new governor, and Henry McDaniel won the election, and so James Boynton was only governor there for what, 2-3 months. And his connection to Walton County is actually the fact that he courted Susie Harris, who lived at the Casualon Plantation. And we kind of say, well, you know, he probably lived there some, so we put him on the sign. Henry McDaniel, totally different. Henry McDaniel is a native son, born right here in Monroe. He was the son of Ira McDaniel, who was actually an Atlanta businessman and a member of the city council up there. Ira McDaniel and some business partners built the first brick business in the city of Atlanta. Governor McDaniel was a major in the Walton Infantry during the Civil War, and during the Battle of Gettysburg, the officers above him were all wounded, and he was left in charge at the end of I think the last day of the Battle of Gettysburg. And then shortly thereafter, as they were leaving and had crossed into Maryland, he was wounded. And they didn't think he was going to live. It was an abdominal wound, and you know, it was really, they had given up on him. And so they were going to leave town, and they were going to leave him behind. And he said, "No, I'm going with you." And finally, they decided, well, we might as well take him because he's going to die anyway. And, but he didn't. He lived. He was captured by the Yankees and put in prison and spent the remainder of his time, or the remainder of the war, in prison. After that, he came back to Georgia, was elected governor in 1883 and served to 1886. During his administration, the state capitol was built. And realizing that you can't get everything right, Georgia Tech was also built. Well, after yesterday, I shouldn't say a whole lot. He was married to Hester Felker, Stephen Felker's daughter, that was sitting on the front porch a while ago. And during the war, they wrote letters back and forth, and Hester saved all those letters in a hat box. And Anita Sams put those in an anthology called Unabated Trust, which actually the Historical Society is in the process of reprinting. So hopefully in the next not too distant future, we'll have copies of that. Henry and Hester built the McDaniel Titchener house, which looked like, actually it was just the McDaniel house then, looked like this when they built it in 1887. And it was changed, it was remodeled in the 1930s when their daughter Gypsy and her husband Edgar Titchener, after the McDaniels passed away, they moved into the house and remodeled it to look like this, and that's where the Titchener part of the name comes from. This is where Gypsy and her husband Edgar lived before they moved to the McDaniel Titchener house, and this house is located across the street. Governor Clifford Walker was also born in Monroe, and as we mentioned, graduated from Johnson Institute. He was mayor of Monroe in 1902 and 03. He was Attorney General of the state of Georgia and the governor from 1923 to 1927. He was a trustee of Mercer University and Shorter College and co-founder of the Woodrow Wilson School of Law in Atlanta. Governor Walker and his wife built this house on McDaniel Street, which is right across the street from the McDaniel Titchener house. So if you go and stand where I was standing when I made this picture, that's the only place on earth where you can stand between two governor's mansions. I'm going to keep saying that until somebody says I'm wrong. All right. This gentleman was never governor, but he was Governor Walker's father, B.S. Walker. Billington Sanders, his friends called him B.S. This is B.S. and his wife and their children and extended family on the steps of their house on the occasion of their 50th wedding anniversary. Another of his children, this lady right here, Louise Walker, was married to Bob McWhirter, University of Georgia's first All-American. And this is a house where they lived. It's at the corner of Davis Street and South Broad Street. This is a picture of Billington and his wife, Alice Mitchell Walker. This appeared in the Atlanta paper when their son, Clifford, had been elected governor. Now, B.S. Walker was a native son, and he was graduated from the University of Georgia and was a lawyer. He never sought political office and never held political office. But what he did do for this town, this community, are legend. He was a leader in acquiring the first railroad to come to Monroe. He was founder and one of the founders and president of the Bank of Monroe, which today is Synovus Bank. He remained president of the bank until he died. He was one of the organizers and served as president of the Monroe Cotton Mill. He was the first president of the Cotton Manufacturers Association of Georgia. In 1924, the residents of Monroe named him our first citizen. He did a lot of other stuff for his church and for the community, and like some other citizens that we have had and I've read about and all, what they did was never known until they were gone. You know, it was done behind the scenes, and there was no hoopla or whatever about it. Just a good fellow. Yeah, he was of course very well off, and sometimes we are kind of cynical about things like that. But this gentleman used what he had for the good of the community. Richard Russell. Well, everybody knows Richard Russell was from Wyandotte, Barry County, Georgia. Wrong. Barry County didn't exist until 1914, and Richard Russell was born in 1897, I believe. So he was born in Walton County. Before Barry County existed, Jackson County, Gwinnett, and Walton came together just about in the middle of Wyandotte there. And so Governor Russell was born in Walton County. He went on to become a member of the Georgia House of Representatives and then governor of Georgia in 1931 to 33. He was U.S. Senator for 38 years, from 1933 to 1971. During that time, he was chairman of the Armed Services Committee and the Appropriations Committee, and served as President Pro Tem of the Senate. The Russell Senate Building bears his name. All right. Richard Hubbard was governor, but not of Georgia. Richard was born down here too. He was born a little further south than Martha Lumpkin was born. You know, he might have been on the Social Circle Highway rather than Broad Street, but it's all the same thing. Richard Hubbard, after being born in Monroe, moved. I think actually they might have moved to New York. But anyway, he wound up as governor of Texas. He was governor of Texas from 1876 to 1879. And you know Texas likes things big. Well, Richard did not disappoint. He was the largest governor Texas ever had, at somewhere over 400 pounds.
Wow.
And a really good governor, I've read. He did a lot for Texas. Getting away from the governors and talking about some other people that have lived here and done things of worth that mattered. Moyna Michael's got to be close to the top of that list. Moyna Michael, known as a Poppy Lady, was born in this house in Good Hope. By the time she was 15 years old, she was teaching school. When the Monroe school system was founded, which was in 1906, we actually have the minutes of the meeting the first day the school board existed. They had the election that day and decided to support a school system. And so Monroe's school system existed in 1906, and it was not that first meeting, but shortly thereafter, one or two meetings after that Moyna Michael and 2 or 3 of her sisters were hired as teachers for the Monroe school system. She taught at Monroe High School. She established the Poppy Drive, where you would, selling is the wrong word, but she gave out silk poppies, and today they're plastic, I think, and in return people would make donations to that drive, and to date that drive has raised over $2 billion for
Wow.
veterans benefits. She has her own United States postage stamp, and during World War II, she had a Liberty ship that bore her name. She's buried in Rest Haven Cemetery.